Red blot. Do a Rorschach test. Look at this red blot and tell me what it means. It means bad episode. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel episode review. After last week's interesting experience for my 100th episode review, I think we can truly say that things are now back to normal. Super Ninja Steel is starting to round the corner on its run, so it's probably a good time to just buckle in and focus on the reviews. The show itself was actually following up on something pretty unusual, the introduction of a brand new hero in Sheriff Skyfire. So, what was on tap for this week? Let's find out by taking a look at the 15th episode of Super Ninja Steel, Tech Support. This episode of Power Rangers starts us out with three characters who are not the Power Rangers or related to the Power Rangers. Because, of course. We see a new character, Emma, helping out the school secretary and principal. She's created a brand new database for the school, which will allow the secretary to search through school records on the computer instead of searching through binders. Excuse me? Listen, I have no shame in telling you all that I grew up in the era where the internet really came to prominence. I used America Online, for goodness sake. And let me tell you that when I was in high school, records had already been kept primarily on computers for a number of years. How technologically backwards was Summer Cove High School that this is a shiny new development? And before you suggest it, it's not that the secretary was technophobic or anything. She high-fives Emma when she learns what this means for her and her job. Brody walks up for a prearranged karate lesson with Emma, which the two of them leave for after she finishes catching the school up with the 21st century. But first, it's time to set up the comedy subplot. Something I was anticipating so much that I literally forgot to write about this part of the scene in the script until it was referenced back to later on in the episode. Long story short, the principal tells Emma that she might be in for the school's technology trophy for this, because this school seems to give out a trophy for everything every single week. That, of course, puts Victor right back on the 50th trophy train, as well as also explaining how he already has 49, come to think of it. And the principal explains to the two of them that the technology trophy is given to the student with the year's best technological achievement, whatever that is and however that's actually decided. The two of them promise to have a technological marvel ready for the next day. Mercifully, we cut back to Brody and Emma. We see the two of them training by the docks using boken, wooden martial arts practice swords. I'm going to admit that this nitpick is a little pedantic even for me, but one of the meanings of the word karate is empty hand. Weapons training is not a karate lesson. Emma is basically Season 1 Billy, grasping the basics of all the movements, but not exactly graceful about it. However, unlike Billy, she's confident about it, thinking that she's doing a lot better than she's actually doing. Brody calls the lesson off after he nearly gets his head taken off, and she asks if there's anything that she can do in return for him. This could be seen as minor flirting, but if it is, he's completely oblivious to it and just asks her to fix his phone. This is interrupted by one of the sillier monsters we have seen in these two seasons, and considering the source footage, that is saying something. This is Typeface, and he's a walking computer keyboard. Even his face. Typeface. After the show's intro rewinds the episode 60 seconds, we see Brody pull what's a pretty classic Power Rangers move, telling Emma to get to safety, and that he'll be right behind her. He instamorphs, although to me, this seems like it was a really good chance to give him his solo morph. Seriously, are we only going to get one of those for Preston? Meanwhile, the other Rangers are at the base, though Sarah is helping Redbot and Mick test the Star Blades. Redbot declares that the wireless connection between the blades and their computer is working perfectly, while giant purple wires run from the blades to the computer.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Brody calls the other Rangers for help, and they grab their star blades. For some reason, I thought they were able to just pull them out of the hammer space, and head over there. Levi focuses on the monster while the other Rangers help Brody with the basher bots. He manages to drive the monster off, and Typeface says, "You fried my motherboard!" So you're dead then? For a computer, when you fry the motherboard, it's dead. And he retreats. The brothers Romero go into focusing on the basher bots, who stuck around after the monster retreated, this time for some reason. Emma suddenly comes running back to the scene and is now so convinced of her martial arts skills that she thinks she can help the Power Rangers. And this leads us into a storytelling trope that I am really not fond of. Just so happens. Emma starts swinging at the grunts, and in 3 consecutive coincidences, her attacks are timed just right that the Rangers destroy one of them, and then she swings through, so she thinks that she was responsible. With the grunts all destroyed, Emma swaggers up to the Rangers and basically says, "You're welcome." They try to tell her that she didn't do anything, and what she did was actually incredibly stupid and dangerous. But of course, they all stammer all over their words and don't just come out and say it, leaving her to fill in the gaps in the sentences with her own conclusions. She leaves, now thinking that she's welcome to come and help the Rangers battle next time. Brody apologizes to the other Rangers for some reason. He says it's because Emma mentioned to him that she wanted to fight as well as the Power Rangers, but he didn't think she was that serious about actually joining the fight against evil. You had like 5 minutes to reflect on her making that statement, all of which were spent fighting a monster. You didn't really have any time to think about it. I suppose you could have told her right there in the moment that that was a dangerous idea, but everyone boasts like that sometimes. You were right not to take it that seriously. Levi, well versed in the art of apologizing for no reason, tells Brody that he has to tell Emma that she cannot fight monsters. He seems to agree. On the Warrior Dome, Odious cannot believe that Typeface did not take the opportunity to infect the Rangers' weapons with this special virus that he apparently has, although it wasn't mentioned. He says that he still can, he just had some bad luck the first time around. Run notbuyingit.exe. He didn't even try to infect the Rangers' weapons. Why didn't you just make this something Odious suggested now? Maybe something she whipped up, either magically or with her knowledge of robotics. Back over with the forgettable comedy subplot, the way Victor and Monty have decided to one-up a school database is creating a robot that can play pool all by itself. But I mean, hey, as much as the Rangers play pool, you know it'd have their vote. It would free them up to have more time to play even more pool, I guess. Anyway, since Monty is apparently the worst nerd ever, it of course breaks down and malfunctions, flinging pool balls all around the room, including into the 2 of them. So, broken bones, right? Have you ever felt how hard a pool ball is? Victor destroys the thing, upsetting Monty, but I mean, it was gonna kill someone if he didn't. The 2 of them decide to have lunch while thinking up another plan, but apparently the chef at the snack stop is having something of a bad day. I mean, they actually say the food there is always so bad, but I mean, besides the fact that this is clearly restaurant quality food and not just like school cafeteria food, say this with me now, this has never been established. This gives the 2 of them the idea to create a robot chef, and I cannot describe to you how little I care. Emma walks into the school and, a construction worker took a video on a cell phone of the Ranger fight and what Emma did and clearly posted it online because it's gone viral and Emma is now something of a local celebrity. Levi says that the fame is going to go to Emma's head and make her make even more dangerous choices, implying that Brody has had the time to talk to Emma about this when he clearly hasn't. In turn, Brody has suddenly flipped 180 degrees, going from, yeah, I should really talk to her, to, whatever, this is all going to blow over in 5 minutes and it won't be a problem. I'm really starting to think that the most intelligent mind in this group could be Cody. Emma walks over to Brody, returning his phone. he had just managed to hand it to her before the monster fight went down, which she has repaired. She also says, "Thank you too for teaching me how to fight." This is a badly written line. I honestly could not tell if she was saying thank you TWO for teaching me how to fight, which wouldn't make any sense because Brody was the only one who did so, or thank you TOO for teaching me how to fight, which would make a little more sense, but it's still a badly written line in that case because it makes it sound like TWO. It should have been thank you also for teaching me to fight, or also thank you for teaching me to fight. Hey Hasbro, little suggestion for you for an addition to the writing staff. Script editors! She relates to Brody how she fought alongside the Power Rangers. He takes that opportunity to say, that doesn't sound like a good idea, that's probably really dangerous, and she blows him off because of course she does, even saying that she's not going to need any more ninja lessons. One, I thought they were karate lessons, not ninja lessons. Two, how did she know that Brody's a ninja? That seems like something you're supposed to keep secret. She even says that she can probably give him some pointers. The other Rangers take the opportunity to tease Brody about this, Preston asking him if he still thinks this is just harmless.
Your words cause me curious mind pain. I feel an urgent need to make you stop somehow.
He just tried to tell her not to do it! She blew him off! He hasn't had the chance to tell her about that before this! His change of attitude about it from one scene to the next was neck-breaking change in character motivation! Everything about this scene was terribly written! So, after this episode reuses some of the show's own stock footage, reusing a shot of Mick and the Ninja Comms telling the Rangers there are buzzcams downtown, they head over there and confront Typeface and Badana, who Odious said should go with him to make sure he infected the weapons. And I've got to say, I'm right back off of the Brody badass one-liner bandwagon. It's just less clever if it's something he does every single time. I may be wrong about this. As a matter of fact, I feel like I probably am, but to my quickly thinking memory, this is the first time we've ever actually seen Badana in battle, and she's pretty badass, kicking the Rangers around the battlefield. In fact, to fit the whole, hey look, the bad guys are doing exactly what the character that's learning the moral is doing, she gets overconfident, saying she won't even need Typeface to deal with the Rangers and can take care of them herself. Which, if that's true, is something she should have just done already. But then Emma bravely, and let's not move past that point too quickly, bravely steps in front of the Rangers to defend them. Badana fires a dart of energy at her, and she deflects it with her boken. Give me a freaking break already. A bolt of alien energy would have incinerated that sword, and her along with it. But no, Emma is a non-Ranger human character, so she not only has to live, she cannot be harmed in the slightest. So the sword just gets a little bit kind of fried and busted up from this, and that helps her to realize what she's up against. Also gives the Rangers an opportunity to finally just come out and say it. She cannot handle fighting monsters. She needs to get to safety and let them handle this, and she does. The Rangers resume the fight, eventually managing to chase Badana off. Preston takes on Typeface but gets knocked back, dropping his sword. Typeface takes his opportunity and demonstrates what I was saying about his first battle, because he actually had to get a hold of one of their weapons and then physically inject it with the computer virus. Because, I mean, you know, computer viruses and biological viruses basically work the same way, right? The Rangers get over there and chase Typeface off, but the damage has been done. Thanks to the wireless connection that Redbot mentioned earlier, though they don't mention it now, which makes it weird that the only time this is established is a scene where there are literally wires on the screen between the items being mentioned, the virus has spread to their weapons as well as their base computer. Mick and Redbot can't do anything to fix it, and what's more, even Sarah says that she wishes she were more of a programmer because she doesn't know anything about computer viruses. As Database Ranger pointed out on Twitter, Sarah once wrote a computer virus to stop a monster. But believe it or not, there's an even dumber line in this scene than that one. Calvin says that if a virus disables their weapons, They're toast! This one I actually saw several people on Twitter point out. Their primary weapons are swords. It's a sharp stick. How does a computer virus disable a pointy stick? No, of course, we have to go get this episode's side character. We find Emma returning to the school through the outside shop entrance for some reason. Seriously, what students beside the Rangers would use this entrance? She throws away the broken boken and chides herself for thinking that she could ever fight alongside the Power Rangers. Very good, Emma. This moment of feeling like an idiot is well deserved. On cue, the Rangers show up, apparently teleporting in, despite the fact that they left the battlefield at the end of the previous battle by just running away. She apologizes to the Rangers for putting herself in harm's way, and Brody accepts her apology and says that they now need her help in another way. He explains about the computer virus, and she agrees to come to their base, even being blindfolded so she doesn't know where it is. Calvin summons the Mega Morph Cycle, and I was actually really digging this. I thought it was a clever plan. He and Emma get on the motorcycle, he takes a random course of lefts and rights in the city, and then makes his way right back to the school. However, Ninja Steel is absolutely allergic to the idea of logic, so instead, Calvin drives her around in a circle for like 10 minutes. Anyway, the Rangers finally get her inside, and I do have to give the episode credit for a nice self-reference, as Emma recognizes Redbot and says that she loved his book. She sets to work and says this virus is a nasty one, and her first virus killer doesn't work. Her first one. She pulls a roll of like 15 USB flash drives out of her backpack and starts using multiple ones and starts making some progress. The first system she gets back up and running is buzzcam detection, and of course it instantly spots some buzzcams. The Rangers head out as Emma promises to keep working on the problem.
Finally, a human who isn't stupider than watercolors. It's about time.
Just before Brody leaves, Redbot warns him that the virus may make their weapons not work. Brody says, "We'll just use our fists then." So they run into battle, instantly pull out their swords, and use an element star. You know, because fists!
You need to put each and every one of these words in their correct order.
It didn't work because no friggin' kidding it didn't work. Okay, so that's when Brody says, "All right, fists it is." No, that's when Sarah and Calvin decide to try the rivet rifles, which also don't work. Okay, so that's when the Rangers decide to start punching things, or at least hitting things with their sharp pointy sticks. No, that's when Emma figures out and disables the computer virus so their weapons work again. You know, it really takes a lot to make me say that I respect Super Mega Force more than anything else related to Power Rangers. But at least those Rangers showed the flexibility to fight without their weapons. And just to get me one step closer to that first aneurysm, that's when the Rangers start whacking things with their sharp pointy sticks. Apparently, the Rangers realized that they were suddenly running out of time because they don't even really use a finisher move, just shoot the monster like in the very first episode of Ninja Steel and it explodes. The crowd votes to Gigantify, and it kind of occurs to me that I don't think they've ever said no to that. Cosmos had to talk them into it once or twice, but they've never really just said, nah. The use of Skull Gators is usually Cosmos' choice. This is a minor point, but I think it would have been kind of cool for them to say that some of the lingering viral code or some damage it caused was messing with their ability to summon Zords. Like maybe they try to summon the Ninja Steel Megazord, and it's like, oh, the viral code damaged the summoning sequence or something, and you can't use that one. But no, that part of the story's over. They just summon the Blaze Megazord. It's Typeface who actually shows an interesting and neat ability. He can press his spacebar and move in space. The Rangers realize they're going to need something to hold the monster still, and I think they missed the opportunity for a cool pun here. Brody summons the Astrozord, which means he could have gone, space, huh? That gives me an idea. But of course he doesn't, just having the Zord transform into its humanoid mode and holding Typeface up in the air. Now, you can call this point rather pedantic as well, but it is pretty clear that the Zord is not holding Typeface's arms, so he could have just hit his spacebar again. The Rangers use that finisher that makes their cockpit suits disappear, and victory. We actually get a nice little wrap-up on the human side of things. Emma finds Brody doing some training and says that she knows now that it was dangerous for her to fight alongside the Power Rangers. She doesn't once mention that Brody told her that, despite the fact that it seems like she would have come and found him in order to apologize, right? Despite not wanting to be a superhero anymore, she asks if he will continue training her to be a ninja, and he says he owes her for fixing his phone. Wait a minute, did I say wrap-up? Oh good, that means it's time for the comedy wrap-up! The principal is about to announce that Emma won the technology trophy because of course she did, but Victor and Monty run up and insist that she look at something last minute. They've somehow completely taken over the snack stop, turning it into some kind of automatic food machine thing.
They took our job! They took our job! They took your job!
I feel an urgent need to make you stop somehow.
This has reduced the snack stop's menu from basically anything that a chef could cook up for you to 6 meal options as good as they look. Of course, Victor is an idiot, so he instantly mashes all 6 buttons on the machine at once, despite the fact that they clearly haven't even tested the thing. It starts out fine, of course, delivering a perfectly good-looking plate of nachos, but then it starts malfunctioning. Well, I mean, it keeps making the food just fine, it's just that the arm that delivers the plate starts launching them into the crowd. And I hope those aren't real plates, because then we're talking about more broken bones, lacerations, bleeding, etc., etc. After just the ensured comedy gold of pies to the face, not a tired joke at all, worry not, Victor asks if this is trophy number 50. Actually, Victor, it turns out it is. Now, sadly, you didn't win the technology trophy. That still goes to Emma. But it turns out you have won the Distinctive Achievement Award from the International Society of Ass Hattery. Let's just throw stars before my apathy becomes crippling. Episode 15, Tech Support. Pros: Emma was actually a pretty cute character. The moral applied directly to the Rangers. And some decent character stuff for Brody. Cons: Typeface is a stupid monster, the moral is hard to figure out, and the errors in the writing are starting to pile up. The makings of greatness, but it's the hope that hurts the most. Tech Support gets 1.5 stars out of 5. Emma's actually a kind of neat character to see in an episode of Power Rangers. Geeky, but confident and sure of herself. It was also nice to see a geeky character take an interest in something physical like martial arts, again harkening back to Billy, and also actually working out rather well for Nickelodeon's Worldwide Day of Play. It might have been nice to have them explain why she was taking an interest in martial arts, something about maybe she was bullied and wanted to be able to defend herself or something, but overall she was a pretty fun character and never got that annoying. Whatever the moral of the day actually was, and I'll get to that in a moment, it was definitely linked to the Power Rangers stuff this week. And that's the kind of moral story that I like in Power Rangers. Yes, there's a human subplot, but it eventually links with the Ranger plot to merge into one story. Emma's overconfidence leads her directly into the path of the Power Rangers, who she helps with the monster stuff, and they help her to be confident in her own abilities. And this is definitely stretching for her third pro, but this was kind of a nice character piece for Brody. I mainly just mean that it was nice to see him doing things like training on his own, helping people that weren't the Rangers, etc. It fleshed him out. A little tiny bit. This is definitely a case of giving this episode whatever credit I can. Let's go ahead and get the most glaring con out of the way. Look everybody, I'm Typeface! I mean, seriously, I get that this monster was designed for Ninja, and it actually makes more sense in Ninja why the monster looks the way it does, but there was nothing in this stock footage that required them to use this episode. He's a giant walking keyboard, and it was just goofy. It was impossible for me at any point in this episode to take Typeface seriously as a villain. Really, more when I looked at him, I had a thought I've had with a lot of the monsters in these 2 seasons. How do aliens develop looking like this? Rita Repulsa, Lord Zed, They created monsters. They could look like anything and take inspiration from anything. As a matter of fact, thinking about it, Typeface would have been a perfect Lord Zed monster that he created from a keyboard that Billy invented that increases typing speed and reduces missed keystrokes or something. But on Ninja Steel, Galaxy Warriors is a show that attracts alien contestants. Can anyone tell me where the planet with the keyboard people is? Logitechia? Some of you may have noticed that I didn't use my, I'm going to use it now, Moral of the Day graphic. As per the usual, when I don't use that graphic, it's because I don't have the first clue what the moral actually was. In the first half of the episode, the moral seemed to be, don't put yourself in harm's way to prove a point, which is actually a great lesson to teach kids watching a superhero show. But then in the second half of the episode, it becomes be proud of your unique talents, which is also a good lesson for kids, true enough, when Emma uses her computer skills to help the Rangers out. Both of those are good morals, like I said, and I'd even call an episode nuanced if it was intentionally trying to teach two lessons at one time. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of confidence in Ninja Steel, where 9 times out of 10 it's beating you over the head with the moral, and it more just feels like they couldn't choose between the two. Speaking of not being able to decide, I couldn't quite decide between the smaller writing gaffes in this episode to pick one for the third con. So let's just run through them all quickly, shall we? Emma creates a database for the school that I'm pretty sure had already been invented in the early 1990s. Brody, a trained ninja, says he's giving Emma a karate lesson when karate means empty hand and he was actually giving her a sword lesson. Then for the rest of the episode, they refer to it as a ninja lesson when Emma had no way of knowing that Brody is a ninja. Redbot refers to a wireless connection between the swords and the computer when there are wires literally running from the swords to the computer. Brody literally changes his mind between scenes, going from needing to talk to Emma about putting herself in danger to not thinking it was really that big of a deal. The other Rangers tease Brody about not warning Emma about fighting alongside the Rangers when he had literally just warned her about that, standing directly in front of them, and she blew him off. Sarah claims to know nothing about computer viruses despite having written one. Calvin thinks that a smart girl like Emma won't notice being driven in a 10-foot circle for 15 minutes because she has a blindfold on. Brody says the Rangers will fight with their fists, and then they immediately pull out swords and guns when they know those aren't going to work. And I will say it again, any one of these things taken on its own isn't even worth mentioning, let alone deducting for. But it's just having them all piled up in a single episode. Just slap after slap after slap. Weak little slaps, but annoying when it keeps happening repeatedly. I cannot say this strongly enough. This writing staff needs an editor that is not one of the writers. I believe Chip Lynn is listed as the editor for this writing team, but again, you can't edit your own material. Trust me, I have a hard enough time editing these scripts down to a reasonable time. If I seem really angry about an episode that most of you thought probably wasn't all that bad, it's just because I'm really disappointed. I feel like there was a really cool story that could have been had here. About a geek who gets bullied at Summer Cove and wants to learn martial arts to defend herself. She takes a lesson with Brody, gets a really big head about how well she does, and thinks that she can help the Power Rangers. The monsters push her around, so she's getting bullied again, this time by monsters, and gives up on the whole martial arts thing, feeling like she's worthless and can't help at all. Brody helps her to realize that she does have talents, being really good with computers, and bang! Right at that moment, the Power Rangers need a computer expert, and she's there ready to step in. Instead, we get this story that feels half-written where a girl is learning martial arts because, gets a big head for no real reason, thinks she can help the Power Rangers, gets into a fight situation where she actually thinks she helped the Power Rangers even though it's clear she didn't, then gets into another fight situation where she nearly dies, and then just because of what she can do, she's able to help the Rangers save the day. It really feels lazy, like someone wrote the premise and then put together a first draft, and that's just what they ran with. And remember everyone, if you don't take a second look over your work, you're gonna deal with well, closer and closer to the end of this season, huh? Doesn't feel like it can get here soon enough sometimes. Let's take a peek at the 16th episode of Super Ninja Steel, Car Trouble. A new monster, Voltipede, is sent to Earth to fight the Super Ninja Steel Rangers. It steals electricity from cars and the city to charge itself with energy and power. Energy and power are the same thing. Oh man, heroes, it's a car episode. I wonder whose focus it's going to be this week. That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Make sure to like the video by clicking that thumbs up button right down below. In the comments below, let me know what you thought of this episode. I realize most of you probably thought it was perfectly fine, and that's okay. We're allowed to have different opinions. I'm just a humble reviewer, bringing you what I thought of each episode week to week, as well as what you thought of my review of the episode. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see all of my videos and ring that bell, get your notifications set up so you get notified of whenever I post brand new videos like these Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel episode reviews. And if you really do like the work that I do on this channel and would like to contribute financially, head on over to digitaltipjar.com/orangerangervid, toss a little tip change inside, and I'd be grateful for anything that lands in that jar. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. After Emma finishes catching the school up with the 21st century. But, oh, goodness. Brody walks up for the... We see the two of them training by the docks, using boken, practice martial arts swords. This is interrupted by one of the sillier monsters we've seen in these 2 seasons, and considering the sword... Meanwhile, the Rangers... and he retreats. The 2 brothers Romero go into focusing on the Basherbots, and yeah... which was mainly fighting a monster, so you didn't really have... Back over with the forgettable... I mean, they say that the food is always so bad, but... I mean, besides the fact that this is yeah, I really need to talk to her to... I mean, it'll blow over in 5 minutes and it'll all be over. Not a big deal for anything, and you know. She blows him off because, of course she does. Even... And you know, I've got to say, I'm right back off of the Brody badass one-liner bit, but that is a tongue twister. The Brody badass one-liner bandwagon. Preston's sword is not only the... Mick and Redbot can't do anything. Mick and Redbot can't do anything. Through the outside shop entrance for some reason. Seriously, what characters... She sets to work and says this virus is a nasty one and her verse... Anyway, he has the Zord transform into Zord mode and into its humanoid mode. But, of course, he didn't. He just has the Zord transform into its humanoid and I think that a chance for a cool pun was actually missed here. Okay. But, of course, he doesn't. He just has it transform into its humanoid mold. There's absolutely no reason for me to be mixing up the words mode and mold. The Rangers realize that they're going to need something to hold the monsters still, and I think they missed the chance for a really cool pun. Okay. Speaking of not being able to decide, I couldn't decide between any of the slightly smaller writing gaffes to make the third con of the episode, so let's just run through the... Calvin thinks that an intelligent girl like Emma won't notice being driven in a 10... Oh my god. And I will say it again. Any one of these items might seem like a nitpick that's not even worth mentioning, let alone Well, closer and closer to the end, isn't it? Doesn't feel like it's close enough sometimes. Let's take a look at the 16th episode. Let's take a peek. Well now, closer and closer. Nope, that's not quick enough. Well now, closer and closer to the end, huh? Let's have That's gonna do it for another Super Ninja Steel Power Rangers Artichoke Smelled Bar Glibus into their fart division. I can so as well as my review of it. Make sure to like this. I wonder whose focus episode it's gonna be. That's gonna do it for another Super Ninja... I'm just a humble reviewer, letting people know what my opinion is. Make sure to... Oh man, you guys,